Remember, the Pac-12, they discussed a potential Big Noon game last year. Now with the extra layoff, time away from the spotlight, Coach, this feels like a really sage, savvy move early on from the Pac-12.
Bold move and right move. That's the right thing to do. Two-thirds of the country right now doesn't even talk about the Pac-12. That's long forgotten. The Pete Carroll, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, when everybody talked about the Pac-12. They have to do it. When I was at Utah, I went there, we took every Thursday and Friday game. Why? We didn't necessarily love doing it because you had short work weeks and all that. The country had to see us, and we made that decision. We played well. Now the Pac-12, here's what they have to play well because the whole country now will be watching USC, Arizona State next week.
And I think for me, it is about USC and can they take the next step? And what I mean by that is, can they win a Pac-12 championship, guys, and potentially put themselves in a conversation for a playoff spot? They've won one Pac-12 title in the last 11 years. They've lost 3 games under Clay Helton every year he's been the head football coach. But this 2020 football team, loaded on offense with All-American candidates Keaton Slovis, Amon-Ra St. Brown, an experienced offensive linebacker. Defensively, 8 and 9 starters are back. 12 of their top 13 tacklers. They're loaded on both sides of the football. There's no excuses. Can they take the next step? And they got a big one, maybe the most important game of the season against Arizona State next week.
Kind of worries me for them starting off with that sort of game. You never know how the opening game's going to go. I'm curious for a few things. One, do they make it through the schedule? We're seeing what's happening with Wisconsin, the Big Ten right now. They're stacked up, too, with really no room for error. They're playing less amount of games, too. I mean, how's that going to play into the national picture, even if you do have an undefeated Pac-12 champion? And who I think that could be is Oregon. I think when you look at what Mario Cristobal has done over the past couple of years recruiting, #1 in the Pac-12 the past 2 years, what they have coming back on defense with maybe the best edge rusher in the country in Kayvon Thibodeau. And then on offense, Tyler Shuck is expected to be the starter. He's got 2 returning receivers. The thing I'm most excited about, though, Joe Moorhead, their offensive coordinator's first season there. Remember, he was the head coach of Mississippi State, Penn State, great offensive mind. I think he's going to allow this team to score a bunch of points. I know they don't return a ton of experience, but they've got some talent there. Look out for Oregon in the Pac-12 North.
100%, Brady. I think Oregon is definitely going to be that team that the rest of the Pac-12 is going to have to try to beat because they were just dominant last year. But for me, I think the most interesting part for the Pac-12 is how do they compete for a playoff spot with only 6 games, right? I think no room for error is an understatement. Like, you actually have to beat every team by 20 or more points. And that still may not be enough to get you into a playoff spot because, Coach, like you said, there's not a lot of respect for the Pac-12 right now. And so I love the fact that USC and Arizona State is going to play this early game because that's going to give them that national attention that you spoke about.
You could be doing everything right, too, with the way the Big Ten Pac-12 schedules are, and it could be the team you're facing that ends up, losing you a game with a COVID outbreak on their team. I mean, that's the world we're living in right now in 2020.
Yeah. You talk about opportunity. It's an opportunity for the Pac-12 right now with the Big 12 struggling early. An extra playoff spot is kind of sitting out there teasing the Pac-12.
You have to perform. I mean, at the end of the day, when we watch that game next week, you're going to be like, what is this? Or that's legit when those two teams.
Start your Saturday strong at 10 Eastern with a legendary college football lineup on the Big Noon Kickoff Show. Big Noon Kickoff on Fox.